Thank you, Tia. So good time, good memory. So decided to put that up there. There's a meme going around on Facebook, and it's a picture of Mr. Rogers, Bill Nye, and some other teachers, and it says some of the greatest teachers of all time taught virtually, which is technically true because, I mean, during that age, that's what we grew up on TV. But now it's a little bit different because teachers don't just teach virtually. We grade papers, we're emotional support, we're therapists, we're friends, we're advisors, and now we're emotional coaches. So CDC just came out with a report based from March and October that mental health related hospital visits have increased by 24% between the ages of 5 and 11 years old, and by 31% between the ages of 12 and 17 compared to 2019. All this is fairly shocking, but not alarming. So the art of teaching is the art of discovery. So what have we discovered these past month? We discovered that we need to engage more, we need to inspire more, we need to connect. And now we're connecting online. It's very, very hard, but as long as teachers create a clear structure and routine and keeping them engaged and do emotional check-ins, that'll strengthen the connection between students and peers. And that's exactly what we do. So welcome to STEAM is in Session. My name is Naomi Prazak. I'm the Director of Personnel at Parker Anderson. This is John Posatko, and he's the Director of Programming. And we have Lisa Nadasdy, who's the Central LA Director. So we are here to teach you STEAM is in Session. So what is STEAM? STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Everyone's familiar with STEM. And the reason why they decided to put the arts in it is because they wanted to create more of an empathetic, a full rounded lesson for students, which is why they created the art program into STEM, which is so different now because right now people are not staying with the same job. They're moving around, they're finding different careers and different paths. So they figured this full rounded STEM will give people a full round lesson on cognitive thinking and strategy. So we're going to show you our methods that we use at Parker Anderson in creating this with our enrichment classes. So for the agenda for today, we're going to have a quick intro on who we are, who Parker Anderson is, our plan for the day, and the breakout STEAM lessons. So we're going to cover science, we'll cover Chem Kids, tech will cover chess, engineering, coding, arts, anime, and math, cooking. So all of you will have an opportunity to sit in a 15-minute class of all these lessons. Our instructors will rotate through the break rooms. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Tia and Deanna are here to help you and assist you. So our introduction. So who am I? Who is Lisa and who is John? So my name is Naomi Prazak. I've been an experimental education and enrichment instructor for over 13 years. I am a Boost veteran, presenter, and attendee. Here's Lisa. Lisa also has been teaching for over 15 years in after-school enrichment, and she has been at Boost as an attendee and presenter. John, he's fairly new here, but he's enjoying his visit and enjoying being here. He has been an education for over 13 years, and he's an actual credentialed teacher, and he has his master in education. So now that we've introduced ourselves, let's introduce who Parker Anderson is. John?
Great. Thanks, Naomi. So as Naomi just mentioned, first of all, nice to see everybody here. It's always great to be in a room full of educators. Hopefully one day we can all meet in person and kind of feed off each other's energy. There's really nothing like being around a group of people that kind of have education as their mission in life. And I feel like it's the greatest job in the world, and it's the most important job in the world. So kudos to you for coming out and wanting to learn more and kind of level up maybe in some virtual education skills today. So who is Parker Anderson? So Parker Anderson really started in the mid-1980s, which was a little after I was born, actually. So I've only been with Parker Anderson since about March, but Parker Anderson has been around since the mid-1980s when Jamie Anderson was a karate teacher, and he was doing his own private practice, kind of going around teaching karate at various school sites and at various students' homes. And then Josh Parker joined him. They teamed up together to create this enrichment company. Josh was a chess teacher. So Josh would go to schools, teach chess. He loved it. He said to me once, you know, I could see myself, I could have been a chess teacher my whole life, but, you know, things happen and the world kind of places a path in front of you. And they created this enrichment company that now offers, you know, over 50 or 60 different classes to, when we were in person, over 150 different school sites. So it's really kind of exploded and expanded in Los Angeles County. But in these new circumstances that we're in right now, with the pandemic, back in April, we had to make this kind of this gear shift, or this pivot, as people call it, into online instruction. And it happened really quickly. We got ramped up. We were learning Zoom, kind of all the Zoom ins and outs. We had to deal with all the Zoom safety protocols that were put in place after the first kind of wave of those scary Zoom bomber reports were coming out. We had to make sure that our kids were safe and that our classes were secure. And then, most importantly, we had to train all of our instructors on how to really effectively use Zoom to teach your class. So all of the Zoom capabilities, how do you incorporate that into everything from a cooking class to an art class to a Lego robotics class, you name it. All of our instructors were kind of relearning how to teach in a lot of ways. So in addition to providing now these new virtual classes, we were starting to get kind of inroads, and you know, a lot of our school partners were saying, would you be able to do, you know, virtual electives for our schools? You know, since our students are no longer meeting on campus, can you do virtual enrichment for them? And we said, sure. Some schools said, could you do a field trip, a virtual field trip where our kids get, you know, transported to a chemistry class online because they can't do those experiments in person anymore? We said, sure. And then, as you may have heard across the country, these little learning pods were starting to pop up where parents were saying, you know, we don't want our students going to school, even if they're open. We want to be super safe. Could one of your instructors go through all the COVID tests, be super safe, and teach our little ones in somebody's backyard as if it were a school day, or like we like to call it, a school in a backyard? And we said, sure. So our nonprofit branch, which is called PACE, Parker Anderson Child Care and Enrichment, pivoted as well and started offering these learning pods at families' homes all across Los Angeles County. So we've been doing as much as we can to service our families, to keep as much of a quote unquote normal education experience going for the kids, most importantly. And as Naomi really importantly pointed out, this is about providing a social emotional experience and keeping those little neurons firing, how to work with others, how to relate to others, how to communicate with others. Those are the things that we feel are the most important things we can do as teachers. And we do that all through the lens of having fun. So hopefully today you have some fun. You see how we've been able to teach some of our classes virtually, a wide range of different STEAM classes, and hopefully see that there is a way to make those connections online. And yeah, so that's basically it. I'll kick it back to Naomi.
Thank you, John. All right, so what's the plan for today? So description of our lessons that we had on the handout. If you look on the chat, I went ahead and put the PDF there for you. I'm not sure if you've got it when you signed in, or if you forgot that you had it, but you can click on that to open it up. But description of the session. So you're going to learn interactive and stimulating STEAM enrichment activities. So the framework of the 5 disciplines together create an inclusive learning environment that encourages students to participate and contribute. So we're going to show you what we use, what Parker Anderson uses to have the students participate and contribute. Our professional instructors that will be teaching you. We have Kelly Odell, who has been teaching specialized science for over a decade, marine bio major from UCLA and master in education from Pepperdine. We have Harvey Simpson, who's actually been teaching chess for 51 years. So he says his father taught him chess as a kindergarten, and he's been since then an aspiring chess master. Adam Oldboat is our avid gamer, and genius. He's been creating games on the side with his friends, with and for friends. We also have Caitlin Lancaster, who is a graphic designer, a comic artist, and freelance designer. She is a graduate with the BFA from graphic design from CSU and has her own business, and she loves aspiring new artists. We have Dalia Lopez, who's a graduate of Lee Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts in 2005, and ever since then has been teaching, has been moving around in different kitchens, but enjoys teaching cooking and the highlights and the wonderfulness of cooking and eating. So we have all 5 instructors that will be going in and assisting you in the lessons. The 5 lessons rotation, they'll end at 11:25. And as Tia had mentioned, the last 5 minutes, she's going to be handing out a boost survey. And once you complete that boost survey, you're going to be given access to a resource folder that we put some more information about our classes, what we do with Pace and Parker Anderson. And we also have a coupon of 10% off for boost attendees. If you book before December 18th, we will oblige with that discount. So our breakout session, our goal is for you to give you an opportunity to observe and ask questions. So our instructors will be doing 10 minutes of instructing and leave the last 2 to 3 minutes for questions. If you have a question that you're really just anxious to ask, please put it in the chat just so you don't forget it, because we're here for you. This is the reason why we're having this free training session for you with Boost, is because we want to show you what we've learned and give you tools. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations or feedback, we'd love to hear that, because we're all teachers and we're always growing. So the instructors will rotate, not the participants. So once you're in your breakout room, after the instructors have done their 15-minute session, they'll move to another breakout room, so you get another lesson. So you'll have 5 breakout rooms, 15-minute increments, and again, 10 minutes with 2 to 3 minute questions. Sorry I'm rushing you this, because I want to make sure that you have enough time through these lessons and you're able to see how our instructors are teaching all these STEAM sessions. Supplies that you need, I can put this into the chat, but I also put the PDF in the chat, so it has all the supplies where all our instructors will be covering, to include the lesson they'll be reviewing. Our breakout session, invitations will go out. He is preparing them right now. And all you have to do is click to join into the breakout room. You're going to see a little window that's going to pop up like this. So please look for that window, and don't click on the screen, because this is a PowerPoint. But once the next slide is, Tia will begin. So our breakout session begins. Good luck and have fun, and we will see you soon.
So we're ready now. I just want to address all of the facilitators for each of the rooms. You all have co-host capabilities, so you can pop around and join other rooms. So here we go. Look out for your invite.
Okay. And granola is actually really good for you as well. It's very healthy, has a lot of fiber. Sometimes it has fruit in it, nuts, a little bit of honey for added sweetness. So it has antioxidants due to the ingredients that it has as well. It's very filling. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it has the fiber. So we're only going to use half a cup. We're going to add it in here. Now, does anybody know how many tablespoons are in half a cup? Anybody? No? Okay, great. So in half a cup, there's actually 8 tablespoons, okay? So we're using 8 tablespoons of granola. Now, the reason I mentioned that is because let's say a person wanted to do this, but they don't have the half cup measurements. So they're trying to figure out, well, what do I do? So measurements with a tablespoon, you could easily do it. It's only 8 tablespoons per half a cup. But in this recipe, we're going to use 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. So that goes into the bag with the granola. We add that in there. Now we're going to add a little bit of sweetness to this by adding a little bit of chocolate. There's actually some antioxidants in chocolate as well. We're only going to add 1 teaspoon of it though, because we do want to add a little bit of sweetness. We do get antioxidants from the dark chocolate. However, it does have calories and it does have sugar, right? So we want to keep it on the healthier side. So just 1 little teaspoon of chocolate. We put that aside. Now, does anybody know how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon? Anybody? 2, close. Yes, good answer, close. In between the 2 and the 4, it's 3. So 3 teaspoons equal 1 tablespoon, okay? So the way you would figure out how many teaspoons are in half a cup, again, math, you would have to multiply the 3 by the 8, right? Because 3 teaspoons equal 1 tablespoon. 3 by 8, that's 24, right? So that would be 24 teaspoons in half a cup. So that's just a little bit of basic math that a person can do. If, for example, like I said, if they don't have the right measurement equipment in their kitchen, they could easily use a tablespoon, a teaspoon if needed, but they would just have to multiply and find that out. Okay. And now chia seeds are a really good, nutritious food to eat or seed to eat. And it actually, back in the ancient times with the Mayans and the Aztecs, they actually used to eat chia seeds a lot because it gave them a lot of sustainable energy without all the fat or the calories. So chia seeds are very healthy for you. Lots of antioxidants, as well as fiber, as well as good energy to last throughout the day. Okay, so this is the fun part. We have it in our little bag. We have to make sure we get the excess air out. We don't want it to pop because now we're gonna have fun rolling it, right? We want to crush it down. And this is fun for the kids. Maybe they haven't had such a great day, or even an adult. You want to just kind of smash that granola because you're a little frustrated, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super, super fine. It could stay a little bit crunchy. We just want to make sure it just gets kind of mixed in together. Perfect. So I got it kind of crushed, and that's good enough. That'll coat the banana. But we are going to be using the peanut butter, right? Which also provides its own nutrients, has a lot of fiber, it has protein, it also has antioxidants, vitamin E. So it also keeps a person feeling fuller longer, as well as the banana. Sometimes we have to stir it because it does settle, but that's okay. We're only going to use 1 tablespoon of it, okay? Or if you had just teaspoons, 3 teaspoons, right? Okay, so now we have the banana, and what I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna grab 1 tablespoon, and see, this is the fun part. Your hands do get messy, so that's probably why it's a good idea to wear gloves anyways. So we're just gonna try to smear the butter, the peanut butter, all throughout the banana. And the reason we want to coat it is because we want the granola, the chia seeds, the chocolate to stick to the banana. Okay, so it's not going to be the greatest job, but that's okay. It's fine. Does anybody have any questions so far? No? Raise your hand if you do. Okay. All right. Now we're going to try to get all sides of it. So as you can see, it's a little messy, but this is the fun part for kids. Kids like to get their hands dirty, right? And if you're in the kitchen, then it's just easily wash your hands off. All right, perfect. So now that we got that coated, I'm going to have to remove these gloves because they're a little bit too sticky now. So I'll get that out of the way, put on a fresh pair. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and dump all of the granola, the chia seeds, the chocolate, all over the banana. I'm just going to dump it in this bowl and just kind of mix it around in there just to coat all the banana. Okay, as you can see. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of coated like that. There's some spots that aren't completely coated, but that's okay. You could always add a little bit more butter on it if you want, more nut butter. Now for the nut butters, you can use peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, whichever one you prefer. And if there's somebody that has allergies to nuts, then they could also use sunflower seed butter, which is better because it comes from a seed, not from a nut. So a lot of people that have nut allergies do pretty well with sunflower seed butter, but that's still something they need to obviously really check first before they do that. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now that we have our banana here, what we're gonna do with a plastic knife, since it is a banana, and if it's kids that are doing it, we want them to be safe with the knives. However, even if a plastic knife is being used, we do wanna make sure that you're very careful with knives, right? Knives are not toys, so unless you're cutting something, the knife should not be in your hand. always on the cutting board. And now we're just really gonna slice it, just like little sushi pieces. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Now we're just gonna plate our banana sushi. Okay, perfect. And now this is just a really healthy snack that anybody can make, like I said, in the morning, maybe for breakfast even, with maybe a little side of yogurt. So it could be extra filling and just more protein. So it's really good, really healthy for you. As I mentioned, you get the nutrition for the banana, from the chia seeds, from the nut butter, from a little bit of antioxidants from the chocolate, right? And so that gives you a lot of energy, keeps you full, and it's good for you. It's really healthy. And as you can see, this is how the banana sushi looks. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and try it because I do have to try my own creations. And they're usually pretty good, they're healthy. It's really good for you, really healthy. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk with my mouth full, but it's actually really good. It's really healthy for you. If for some reason a person didn't have a banana, they want to try it with a different piece of fruit, they are more than welcome to do that.
So, sorry guys, I had a little problem with my dual monitor. It won't let me join the different breakout rooms, but that's okay. So I'm gonna pretend like it's working anyway. How's everybody doing? Jazz hands if you're having a good time. All right, awesome. So they gave you a little introduction about me at the beginning, but let me tell you a little more about me. I've been doing chess for 51 years. I love it. It's my favorite game to play. I'm not a grandmaster or anything, but I love the game and I'm pretty good at it. I'm kind of like Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid. What belt do you have? He said JCPenney, right? So I don't have a rating or anything, but I love teaching the kids and I love the game. Right now I'm a magician, balloon artist, and a pastor, believe it or not, but I still love playing chess. So I want to show you guys what's going on in the chess world today. But before we do that, got a quick problem for you, a chess problem, if you will, okay? See if you can answer this question. One night, a king and a queen checked into a hotel room. The next morning, the king gladly paid for 3 people. How come? Anybody know? No? Okay, should I tell you? All right. One night, a king and a queen checked into a hotel room. Andrea, do you got it? I see you kind of go, yeah. K-N-I-G-H-T, right? That's 3 people, a knight, a king, and a queen. But you got to say the next day. If you don't say the next day, they won't get the problem. Okay, so like that weird problem I just gave you, chess kind of helps us think out of the box, okay? Helps us think logically, and it helps us think, well, it's just a great life skill to have, okay? It shows you that if you do something, something's going to happen, and then you have to do something again. It's a cause and effect, like most games are. But what's great about chess, it's not a luck cause and effect. You're not rolling a dice and hoping. You have to know what you're doing to play the game. And so we spend a lot of time teaching the kids the moves, the beginning opening strategies, the tactics, and then the middle strategies and the end game strategies, which is all important. But let me show you, and I'm going to try to share my screen with you and hope it works. Okay, what it is like playing chess today in 2020. Can everybody see this? This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a Pixar short. See, they even put their little logo there. He's getting ready to play. He's all set. He's in the park. He's making his move, and there's nobody to play with because we're in COVID-19. All right, I just addressed the elephant in the room, okay? All right, did everybody see that? Did it work out? Finally. Okay, cool. I've been practicing that all week. All right, so guys, what I want to do is I want to take you into what we're using as a tool in technology to work with chess for the kids online, okay? Now, in an ideal situation, I would have lots of kids in one room and 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 boards going at once with kids playing over the board, and I could watch them and see what level they're at, all right? In these Zoom sessions that we're doing, you don't always know the level of the kids. So we try to find that out the first lesson or so. And then once we find out their chess level, we adjust the lessons to what their level is, okay? So today I'm gonna pretend you're all beginners, all right? And as a beginner, I'm gonna just basically go over the tool that we're using. There's lots of tools online, but the tool I like to use is called lichess.org. Let me close this up and share this screen with you. Everybody can see that? We're good? Okay, so lichess.org, you can create an account, and I go over teach the kids how to do that. I'm not going to go through all the details on that. That's kind of boring for you. But once you have an account, even if you don't have an account, you can do a lot of cool things at lichess.org. First of all, what I love about it, it lets you play securely against other people. So what we do is after I do a lesson, and this is how we usually do this, we have a 45-minute session. The first 10 minutes is basically a chess lesson, okay, for the intermediate kids in the class or even the beginner kids in the class. After we do that lesson, then we put them in breakout rooms and we assign the kids based on their level to play against each other. So maybe you have 20 kids in class, you would set up 10 breakout rooms and assign 2 people to each room so they could play against each other. Now, if you've got an odd person in a room because you don't have an even number, we just have them play the next person afterwards. It works out. The point is they're all playing in separate rooms and they're all secure. And what's great about Live Chess is they can chat with each other in the program Live Chess Online, and nobody can see their chat, all right? They can see it if they're in the breakout room, and that would be me as the instructor. So instead of being able to look at people physically playing in my room, I have to jump from one room to the next and kind of check on the kids, and that's what I do. All right, and if they have any questions, then I answer some questions. I don't interrupt their game unless they want me to. Sometimes they have strategy questions. I say, well, look, if you do this, this is going to happen and whatever. And so that's how we kind of run the chess games. And what's really important about chess is it's not just theory. You don't just want to do a bunch of teaching. You want the kids to be hands-on in doing it. And the only way you can do hands-on is to have a computer. We've tried having them set up a physical board and calling the moves out to each other. And what happens is the kids knock the board over. The pieces are all over and it doesn't work. All right. So lichess.org is our technology tool that we use for that. So I'm going to pretend like you're all brand new now, and even if you're not, we'll pretend you are. Let me open up what I can see here, a bigger grid. I don't see a lot of people in the grid, so I'm guessing most people are. Well, maybe that's the full grid. Okay, that's fine. So in lichess.org, I'm going to go to what's called the board editor as the instructor. The kids can see that. I have the ability to clear the board or to do starting position, or I can even load a position up. Okay, you can type in what you want. I'm not going to go through all that with you. I just like to clear the board, and I'm going to pretend like you guys have already known what the squares are called, okay? I'm going to pretend you already know what the pieces are called. That would have been an earlier lesson. I don't have time to do that right now, so we're just going to go over the rook lesson right now. I'm going to teach you guys today how a rook moves. By the way, this is called a rook, and you would have known that already at this point in my class, okay? So here's how a rook moves, everybody. And I need you guys to get your movements going with me here. A rook moves like this. He goes up, down, and sideways. Up, down, and sideways. Oh, thank you, Lisa. You're playing along. So are you, Andrea. Perfect. Okay. All right. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the rook does not get to go corner to corner. He cannot go like this. He only goes up, down, and sideways. And I'm sorry, I wish Light Chess had a red arrow so I could just leave it there and show you it doesn't do that. So he only moves up, down, and sideways. Rooks never jump over any pieces, whether it's their own piece or the opponent's piece, okay? They have to either stop before they get to that piece or move into that piece if it's the opponent's piece and take that piece off the board. That's called capturing, okay? But they don't get to jump over pieces. So if I have a knight here, that's a black knight, and I have a rook here, and I put a queen up here, and a bishop here, and I put a knight here, and a bishop here, and a knight here. Now let's remember, rooks move up, down, and sideways. With this example, boys and girls, this rook can go here, here, or here. Okay, that would be square D6, 7, and D8, no worries there. Or He can go here, but he can't go here because that's his own piece, his own color. He can go here, okay? Or he can go here and take that rook, but he can't jump over it and take that piece because this rook is blocking it. Or he can go here, and he cannot jump over his own piece and take that knight. Okay, and now what I would do is set that up and give people a chance to try to tell me what it is, but I just see we've only got 2 minutes left. So let me use this last 2 minutes to ask you guys, find out if you guys have any questions about either myself, Parker Anderson, or Live Chess that I could help you with. I've been with Parker Anderson for about, well, I started 10 years ago, took a break for a few years, and I'm back again for the last 3 or 4 years. Any quick questions before we go? You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right, everybody. Hello, welcome. My name is Adam Osboyd. I do coding. I make games. I play games. Sometimes I make the games I play. Sometimes I play the games I make. Have the kids make the games. Have the kids play the games and all that. It's complex. Don't worry about it. So today we are going to make a game. It will be complex, of course, because that is all coding. And coding itself is complex, but there are ways to make it easier. Coding makes up pretty much everything of what we do online. We have our computers. They have been coded. They have our phones. They have been coded. We have our headsets. They have been coded. They were all made by some guy sat down at their computer and say, you know what, I'm going to make a headphones. So he typed away at his computer and boom, headphones. So we have a very simple game here, and we're going to make it. I will show you guys how to make it. It's a very simple game of dodgeball. I will hit the play button. I have a character moving with my mouse, and I have a ball bouncing around the screen. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything when I touch it because this is the game we made literally last class. But we will see how far we can get today. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat. If you want to follow along, you are absolutely free to do so. Go ahead and click that link. It'll take you to the Scratch main page. You don't need to sign in or anything. It'll just take you there. It'll have a big blank screen with a cat on it. So this is what it'll look like. I'll give you guys a second to go ahead and get that up if you want to follow along. Go ahead and give me thumbs up when you have that up. I'll give you a minute here. Excellent, excellent, awesome. This is very convenient. Kids don't need to log in. They can save it to their computer. If they do want to log in, they can save it directly to the website. And everything is color-coded. All of our code is nice and organized on the left side by color and by category. And I will be saying both color and category when we go through this. We have our game scene on the right with our cat, and we will be getting rid of the cat in a second. And then we have the cat itself in our little sprites section. So without further ado, let's get rid of that cat because we can choose our own characters. We can make our own game however we want it to. So I'm going to click on the sprite 1 in the lower right that says sprite 1. It has the picture of a cat. It'll highlight blue. It'll have a little trash can with an X on it. I'm going to go ahead and click that trash can, and boom, no more cat. He's gone. We're done with him. Now, I usually have the kids choose their own sprites. In this case, we're going to choose 2 sprites. One is going to be for our character. The other is going to be for a ball that will bounce around the screen. So to choose a sprite, we are going to go to the bottom right corner of your screen. There's a little cat face with a plus. It says choose a sprite. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it'll bring up a giant list of sprites. We're going to go ahead and just choose one. And I realize I've said go ahead now 4 times in a row, whatever. We're going to just choose one of these sprites. And if anybody wants to go ahead and blurt out one of these sprites for me to choose, that is perfectly fine. And you can also choose one yourself. Anybody want a specific sprite here? If not, I'll just choose one. Not a problem. All right, I'm going to play as a centaur. I don't usually play centaurs. Oh, he's very big. That may be a problem, but no problem at all. So that is my first character. For the second character, the ball, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to the bottom right corner of the screen, click on this little cat face with a plus for choose a sprite. This time I want to choose a ball object or a round object. So anything round that looks like it can bounce. Like a cloud, maybe. How about a bouncing cloud? Oh, that's going to be kind of hard to see. And then what I usually have the kids do at this point is type in chat what they have chosen. So what characters you have chosen. And that's always fun to see. So if you have chosen 2 sprites, you can go ahead and type it in chat. And we will see it. Next thing I also have the kids do. Oh, we got a chick and an apple. Awesome. Don't get hit by the apple. Don't get hit by the apple, chicken. No. The next thing I have the kids do is choose a background for their game, because right now we have just a blank screen that doesn't show anything on the back. So right next to the Choose a Sprite button at the bottom right corner of your screen, there's what looks like a little picture frame with a plus. It says Choose a Backdrop. Go ahead and click Choose a Backdrop, and we will just choose a background now, whatever you want. And if you want to type that in chat, you absolutely may as well. I'm going to choose to play dodgeball in the galaxy. This is a very large dodgeball field, you must understand. Now my centaur is a bit too big, and I'm going to do this real quick so it's not super important if you miss it. But right above the sprites, we have a bunch of options such as name, where they are, that is X and Y position, and size. Size starts at 100. I want to make it a bit smaller, so I'm just going to make it a size smaller than 100. In this case, let's do 50. That is 50%. That is half the size, and that's a much bigger batch of size. So if you need to change your size, right above the sprite, you click on the sprite. You have a bunch of options, and you go ahead and type in a size that you want for it. So once we have our two sprites, we are going to start in on the code. And the code is going to be, we go to the left side, choose the block we want, and drag it in. And I will tell the kids we will start the code almost always the same way, with the same two blocks. And those blocks say, when we start the game, do something forever. And the way to find these blocks is we are going to go to the left side, and I'm going to start by clicking on yellow events. This is where most of our start blocks are. And in yellow events, I'm going to grab this very first block that says when flag clicked. I forgot to mention, actually, we should be on our character object, not our ball. So my centaur, that could be your chick or your dinosaur or your human, whatever your character object is going to be. I'm going to go to yellow events, and I'm going to click and drag when flag clicked into the blank coding section. It'll stay there and do nothing for now. Then the next part we will follow it up with is almost always going to be the same thing. We go to orange control. And in orange control, we see a bunch of crocodile faces. They are called statements. They will do whatever is in them inside the crocodile mouth repeatedly or once based on what it says. So we are going to grab this this third one in orange control called forever. It'll keep on doing something forever. So now I'm going to drag it in underneath my when flag clicked. It'll snap in like a Lego. And what do we want our character to do forever? We want our character to follow our mouse. So it's going to move towards our mouse. And all of our move blocks is going to be in blue motion. So I'm going to go up to blue motion on the left. And I'm going to grab this fourth one that says go to random position. It has a little drop down. We will change it. But I'm going to grab go to random position. I'm going to put it inside my forever loop, my forever crocodile. And I'm going to use that drop down to say go to mouse pointer. So now when I click this green flag at the top, when I play the game, I now have a character following along my mouse pointer. And I know that was our 5-minute warning, but we are not super far in, and I think we have a bit of time things going on. I'm going to see how far we can get within those 5 minutes, and then I'll open up for questions. So this is our character. He's going to move along with our mouse. That is all we're going to do for him now. Let us move on to our ball object. So I'm going to click on my cloud. That'll be your apple or your ball or your beach ball, basketball, whatever you want to do. And we're going to keep it very simple just for this. We're going to just say, when we start the game, bounce around the screen or something. So in yellow events, we're going to start the code the exact same way. In yellow events, I'm going to grab my when flag clicked. And in orange control, I'm going to follow it up with forever, so it keeps doing something. When our flag is clicked, forever do something. What do we want it doing? We want it, well, moving and bouncing. So this is all going to be in blue motion. This very first block says move 10 steps. That'll move in the direction it's facing. I'm just going to grab move 10 steps, put it inside forever, so it'll constantly move 10 steps. And then also in blue motion, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. There's this very handy block of code called if on edge bounce. And it does pretty much exactly what it says. It's actually a really hard block of code to make, but it's very convenient that it's made for us. So I'm going to grab if on edge bounce and put it in forever. Now if we play our game, we have our character following our mouse and our ball bouncing left and right. And if you want to add a little bit more variance, you can, in blue motion, say turn some degrees, turn 15 degrees. Doesn't matter which are left or right. But if you take turn degrees And if you put it above forever, right under when flag clicked, then it will happen first when we start the game, and it will not happen constantly. So if we play the game, it'll now turn a little bit. The game's different every time. Woohoo! Normally I have the kids add another block that says change random, and it'll be even more crazy. But for now, we seem to be out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to questions. How are you guys doing?
All right, so my name is Miss Kelly. I'm your Chem Kids teacher today, and today we are making a polymer bouncy ball. So here are the materials that you're gonna need. You are gonna need some borax. Borax is like something that would go in the laundry detergent. It looks like a white crystal, like salt or sugar, but it is not something that you can eat or put in your mouth. So I'm gonna recommend that you wash your hands after you're done with this experiment. You're gonna need some school glue. I have some clear school glue right here. Any color of school glue will work just fine. You are gonna need some cornstarch, all right? Just regular old cornstarch. You are gonna need some water. Warm water will be best, but it's not necessary. If you have just, regular room temperature water, that's totally fine. You're gonna need some measuring spoons. We're gonna be using the tablespoon and the half teaspoon today. And then you are going to need 2 plastic cups. One of them is going to get so messy that you're going to want to throw it away after. And you're going to need a craft stick or something to stir with. Again, it's going to get so messy, you're just going to want to throw it away after. And a Ziploc bag is recommended to store your polymer ball in after you're done making it. It is going to look like this. Super awesome. But it has the possibility of drying out, so you're going to want to store it in a Ziploc bag. Now, optionally, you can put on gloves. I'm going to recommend, actually, if you have the ability to wash your hands after this, I'm going to recommend that you don't wear gloves for this, just because this is a super sticky chemical reaction that we're making, and it's a little bit more difficult to do it with the gloves on because it really sticks to the gloves even more so than it sticks to the skin. But I'm putting gloves on because I don't really have the chance to wash my hands after this. So we're gonna make do with the gloves on. And then if you wanna add some color, I'm gonna use some yellow food coloring because yellow is my favorite color. All right, so are we ready to get started with this? Thumbs up if we're ready. Okay, good, I'm so glad. Is there anybody who's actually following along and participating, or are we just watching? Looks like most of us are just watching. Okay, that's cool. So I've been saying that this is a polymer ball, but like, what is even a polymer? So in Chem Kids, we talk a lot about atoms and molecules. We look at the periodic table. And so the kids will have learned that everything is made out of atoms, and that a group of atoms that are bonded together is a molecule. And we will have learned a lot of common molecules by now. So today we're going to talk about what a monomer and a polymer is. A monomer is just a small molecule, any old molecule. A polymer is a long chain of those small molecules that are all hooked together to make a really long chain. That's all it is. It's a repeating pattern of these monomers. So we can find polymers everywhere in our daily life. Inside of our bodies, a lot of the macromolecules that keep us alive and give us energy are actually polymers. And even in some of the things that are man-made materials, like some of the material in the clothes that we wear, plastics, a lot of the toys that we play with, these are all things that are made with polymers. So today, to make our bouncy ball, to make it actually really, really bouncy, we're gonna do a chemical reaction between the borax powder and the school glue. These two things are going to have a chemical reaction to create a new substance that is going to be a very stretchy, a very sticky, and a very bouncy polymer. And the cornstarch doesn't actually participate in the reaction, but we need it because otherwise it would be way too sticky. And so the cornstarch gives us that powdery texture that makes it so it doesn't just stick to everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my virtual background down so that you can see the experiment up close and personal. I will hold things up to the camera. I'll also tilt the camera down so that you can see my excessively messy science table, which has gotten so messy because this is the 5th time I've done the experiment. But if you ever need to see something more clearly, please just unmute yourself and say, "Excuse me, Miss Kelly," and I will show it to you a little bit better, okay? Sound good? All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to make our borax solution. I've actually already made some. we take about 2 tablespoons of that warm water and we add about half a tablespoon of borax. And as you can see, it's pretty cloudy solution. There's a little bit of the borax powder on the bottom, which is a good thing because this is going to be what creates our chemical reaction with the school glue. Now we're ready to make the base of our bouncy ball. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of this clear school glue. And my tablespoon is, I still need to clean this off a little bit more. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of this clear school glue into a cup. And this is going to be where the chemical reaction happens that creates my bouncy ball. All right. Now this is your chance to add a color to make it look beautiful. Okay. We're going to add our color now. So I'm going to add in a drop of yellow food coloring, and I'm going to go ahead and stir that in with a craft stick here. Okay, now the darker it is, the better, because when you add in that white cornstarch, it's going to lighten it up a lot. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in a half teaspoon of the borax solution right over the top of this, and then we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch also right over the top of it. So I'm going to tilt my science camera, my camera down so you can see what's happening over here on my science table. Okay, sorry that it is so messy. All right, here is my base of glue. Here is my borax solution. I'm going to go ahead and add in half of a teaspoon. And then I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, about right over the top of it. And now we're just going to count to 10. And what that does is that's going to let that reaction start to happen before we actually start mixing it. So that's going to give it a little bit of time to start to create those chains and form those polymers. It's called a polymerization process. Now I'm going to stir it up, and it's actually really easy to stir at first. It looks pretty slimy, it looks pretty gooey, but the more those molecules link up, the harder it's going to be to stir. So right now it has sort of a cottage cheese texture, but it's still kind of gooey. So I would have the kids actually show me what the inside of their cup looks like to make sure that the consistency is good, because you don't want to pull it out too soon or it's just way too sticky. It's impossible to actually knead into a ball, and it's really hard to get off of your hands. So you want it to be like to the point where it's really hard to make that craft stick move through the cup and where it's really clumping up good. This is what we want. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this cornstarch and put it on my hands, just like if you're making bread, if you're making dough, right? That helps it be a little bit less sticky. And so I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to start kneading it right here, and it's going to be messy. This is just like a big mess that I'm going to have to clean up after, but that's okay because science is messy. It's not too stretchy yet, as you can see. It's just really gooey. So the longer I knead this, first it's going to get stretchy, then it's going to get really sticky, and then after that, it's going to actually form into a nice ball. But that process makes your hands real messy. So that's why I said you're going to want to wash your hands after this. Okay, so this maybe doesn't look like it's making a ball, but this is exactly what we want, because this is showing us that the polymers have formed. Okay, so as I'm just kneading this and creating this into a polymer ball, this is a great time. If you guys have any questions about this activity or Chem Kids or any of our science classes, I'd be happy to answer those questions for you right now. Any questions? All right. Okay, as you can see, our polymer ball is almost there. I'm just gonna roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. And then I will tell the kids, right now it's actually really bouncy, even though it's still wet, but as you can see, it's still pretty wet. So what you're gonna do is once it's formed into a nice ball, you're gonna just put it off to the side and let it dry for maybe 2 or 3 hours. And then after it's dry, it's gonna be at its full bouncy potential. But you're gonna wanna keep it in maybe a plastic Ziploc bag, and even put that plastic Ziploc bag in the fridge because if you let it dry out all the way, it's going to crack and get really crumbly. And it's going to break apart. So because these are homemade balls, they're not going to be exactly as bouncy and exactly as long lasting as a plastic super ball that you would get from a gumball machine. But this is how it looks, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty bouncy. I'm going to try to bounce it for you guys. And there it goes.
Thank you all very much for participating, and all our instructors for doing an amazing job running through the same lesson in 15 minutes. Obviously, this is not normal. Usually it's a 45-minute session where our instructors get to know each other and talk and engage. So thank you for being there and being here. If you have any questions about any other STEAM enrichment programs, in person or virtual, here's our email, la@parker-anderson.org. Again, there's going to be that coupon for all boost attendees. Please, you can share it out. You just have to book a program before December 18. But I will pass it on to Tia. Thank you very much for being part of this, and we look forward to actually meeting you in person at Palm Springs.
Oh, thank you all so much.